A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are indeed pleased and thankful for your magnanimous presence. We welcome you all to the second day faculty development program on academic publications and project funding opportunities. It's our rich and affluent culture to garland esteemed resource person with a lush carpet of welcome. We invite the most respected Professor, Dr. V. Jayashanti, Associate Professor, Department of English, to deliver the welcome address.
Esteemed Excellencies, distinguished delegates, honorable teaching faculties, sincere research scholars of our country and abroad, my pleasant morning greetings to you all. Glad to welcome you all to traverse with us here on the second day of our FDP on academic publication and project funding opportunities. On behalf of our department, I extend you all a very warm welcome to delve deep into today's topic, as it is one among the inevitable requirements of today's teaching professional world, that is project funding opportunities. I am delighted to offer a happy welcome to our university dignitaries, especially Dr. R. Hariprakash, Additional Registrar, Dr. M. Sundararajan, Pro Vice Chancellor Academics, Dr. P. Kamaraj, Dean of Science and Humanities, Dr. G. Madhubala, Head of Science and Humanities, who encourages us with their guidance and provides us with all the facilities which undoubtedly contributes to the success of this FDP. The presence of our chief guest, Dr. Beena Anil, Professor and IQAC Director, Srimati Devkunwar Nanalal Bhatt, Vaishnav College for Women, Autonomous, Chennai. In today's program, in spite of her busy schedule, is a reflection of the importance that she attaches towards quality project proposals, both government and non-governmental project-funded organizations. Her acceptance to be the resource person of today's FDP shows her enthusiasm in making our participants principal investigators and co-investigators of major and minor projects in near future. We are all inspired by your gracious presence, ma'am, and we feel honored in offering you a cheerful welcome, ma'am. I'd like to take this opportunity to express our hearty welcome to Dr. V. Emmanuel, the professor of our department, for the support and guidance he has extended to make this session a success. I take this opportunity to welcome all the faculties of our department who are dedicated and enthusiastic. We welcome all our participants who are eagerly waiting to listen to our chief guest motivational speech on project funding opportunities. I am confident that today's presentation can help the participants to carry with them the best wishes of our university for a productive and successful career. I owe my greeting to all who are associated with the success of this meet. Once again, I welcome you all.
Thank you, ma'am. The resource person we have today needs no introduction, as she is one of the most distinguished academicians in the field of education. Let me now call upon Dr. M. Gayatri, Assistant Professor, Department of English, to introduce our guest of honor, Dr. Beena Anil, to the gathering. Good morning, everyone. It's my privilege to introduce today's guest speaker, Dr. Beena Anil, Professor and IQAC Director, Srimati Devkunwar Nanalal Bhatt, Vaishnav College for Women, Chennai. Madam is an MA, MPhil, and PhD holder with SET, and she specializes in the areas of English language teaching, creative writing, technology-based teaching, task-based language teaching, and bilingualism. She has nearly 22 years of teaching experience in various arts and science colleges. Apart from this, she has undertaken many research projects from the funding agency of UGC and has organized several refresher courses in English, women's studies, English language and literature, English language teaching, and also faculty development programs. She has been the editor and reviewer in various international level editorial boards and Scopus Index journals like the Linguistics Journal, the Asian EFL Journal, Editorial Review Board of TESOL Journal, USA, International Journal of Social Science and Humanities, Journal of Languages for Specific Purposes, the IGI Publications, USA, and Multiculturalism and Technology Enhanced Language Learning by Margarida Romero and Dara Tefazoli. She has been the member of International Advisory Board of Association and has been International Scientific Reviewer of conferences, guest editor of an international journal, curriculum designer at the state level, resource person at faculty induction programs, and has published several online poetry. Adding feathers to her hat, in 2021, she received Best Presentation Award for the paper Teach to Learn and Learn to Teach, Designing Digital Tasks to Develop English Language Skills. To her credits, she has received various awards and honors like the Influential Women Award from Spirit Mania on 8 March in the consecutive years 2021 and 2020, and Women Achiever Award from Manida Urimai magazine in the year 2015. I hope a single day is not enough to read out the achievements of our chief guest. Hence, without any further delay, we invite the eminent scholar with whom the best of reality is bottled, gifts and talents are refined, and will future is designed, Dr. Veena Anil, to proceed with her presentation. Ma'am.
Thank you, Gayatri. That was a wonderful introduction.
Thank you, ma'am.
It's great pleasure to be part of this program. I thank Bharat University officials, Department of English staff members. My special thanks to Dr. Jayashanti. And I also thank all the participants who have given time to listen to me. So thank you. So today's topic is, I'll share the screen.
Able to see the screen get on that.
I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Gayatri, is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am. It is visible.
So my topic is research publications and funding opportunities. I divided my presentation into three, or you can say into four. The first one is we are going to discuss types of research, how to write a research proposal, and I'm going to give you certain important funding agencies. The last part is Q&A.
Screen again.
So let me start with a positive note. You are a good researcher or you are a true researcher. All of us are good researchers, but we don't structure it by calling ourselves a good researcher. So just check whether you have all these qualities in you. When you have all these qualities, you're damn sure you are a good researcher. You should have an analytical mind. Analytical mind is nothing but you find out a problem and try to solve it. Most of us would do that, but most of us, all of us would do that. And you have interest towards one particular concept. And you've always been curious to know a lot of things happening around you. Commitment, dedication, quick thinker. We have to think instantly, or you can say the smart thinker. So excelling in observation, So we really observe the things happening around us. That is always the form of searching, researching. Knowledge. I've given this word multidisciplinary, which is always an in word right now, because the world of interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary, it is always important for us as an academician, as a student, as a researcher. We have to always upskill ourselves. We should know what is really happening in our field as well as in other fields. Systematic approach. So to be a researcher or to be a professional, we have to be systematic, and systematic approach is very important because you plan out certain things and you must know how to implement your plans and you have to execute those plans. And you should be a very good collaborator. It is not only one man uh, idea. It is not, you are not an island. So it is always collaboration is very important to call yourself a researcher, a people person, because as a researcher, you always go for a lot of studies. Case study, survey, you go for interviews, semi-structured interviews, structured interviews. So we have a lot of things where you really throw yourself to meet people. We call them respondents, participants. So when you're going to be part of your research, you should be really sympathetic, empathetic when you're going to handle respondents or participants. And very important thing is excellent written and verbal communication. Excellent in sense, your idea should be very clear. So you should be a very good communicator, whether it is spoken or written form. The last one, which is very important to be a good researcher, is honesty. You should have this integrity. When you're going to take um, an important component or concept from another person's work, and you should cite it. It's very important, and you call it plagiarism. So honesty is very important when you're going to conduct research, or not only to do research. Generally, it is very important. Why research? Why people really talk about this? Research is a very common word right now, and everybody, starts to focus more on this word research. Why do you conduct research? And you really assess, and after you assess, a theory, you just validate a theory, and you find out a framework. Why do you do that? You want to provide outcome. It's just when you're going to give an outcome, it must be societal based, it must be professional based, as it will be scientific based. So according to your category of understanding what sort of research you do, and ultimately that should have a purpose. Purpose is very important when you conduct any sort of research. And the next one is you create concepts, you create questions, and then that will really lead to the next level of research. It is not the research which you conduct would not stop by yourself. It will go on, right? It will go on forever. So it is also very important to understand how you are going to generate a new concept out of your research. And from there, you have another researcher who is going to come, and the idea is always been collaborated. It's all been extended. And yes. And I just wanted to tell you what are the types of research. So first we look into what are the types of research. As I was telling you, it's like all of us are researchers and we do a lot of research, and you have to categorically you divide what sort of research you really do or we really do. And you have different types of research. I just have listed some of the research points which we knowingly, unknowingly do in our day-to-day life. First one is exploratory research, and this is a very common research which is interactive. This is a basic level of understanding a problem, and we really try to find out a hypothesis. What is this hypothesis? Hypothesis is nothing but we really predict this would be the cause. Later on, we really find out whether the hypothesis is, you have to prove your hypothesis. Sometimes you really prove saying that this is not the right hypothesis. Even that is also research. It is not only you find out something, even you don't find out something, even that is also research and exploratory research. And then you have this descriptive research, where this exploratory and then comes a descriptive research, and then this exploratory research. When you want to do exploratory research, you have to exploratory research would be the first point. And sometimes they wouldn't stop by that. They go for descriptive research, where they really go for literature review, interviews. They conduct, a series of surveys, and then they really find out what is the ultimate finding. And explanatory is something that will come the later part, and where you really give out the parameter of understanding the real problem. And you have this deductive research and inductive research. Deductive research is nothing, but it's like most probably now, because I'm from Department of English. So once you start to do your research, the first point people really want to know is, what is your theory? What is the theory you're going to apply? So in that case, you really find out a theory and then you go for this hypothesis. That's called deductive research. And then inductive research, you understand the problem and you really derive a plan and then you apply the theory according to the problem. That is inductive research. This is a very common research which all of us possess. Hypothetical deductive research, which is, this research is something where we do in our day-to-day life. For example, it is hypothetically we find out this, this is the problem with this gadget. Um, for example, it's like camera is not working on your mobile. And what you do, you really find out, you really say, because it has got some problem. So you really find out this would be the problem. You hypothetically, you decide this would be a problem of my mobile phone. Might be storage is full. So you decide accordingly. And later on, you understand that was not the real problem. Then your hypothesis has been proven wrong. So this is, when it comes to field, when it comes to research, you really understand. Most of the time we really presume, most of the time we really assume, most of the time we really predict. So that sort of research would come under this category. And you have primary research. Primary research is always very expensive because you have to spend, you have to shell out money and you do this primary research. And secondary research, you really find out the existing findings, and from those findings, you really find your own idea. And you have this qualitative research, which is again exploratory research, and which is unstructured, semi-structured, non-statistical, qualitative. Quality. And then this quantitative research, you go for numbers. Numerical data is very important. When your research is completely based on numbers and you really want to find out the real understanding of your research, then it comes under quantitative research. And you have the next one, which is called field research. Again, it is also a little bit expensive, where you throw yourself to the research, to the field. You really observe, you understand. It is important. So when you're going to throw yourself to the particular field and then you understand, you get the first-hand information through observation. Again, it is a little bit expensive, but science researchers would always go for such a research. Laboratory research, documentary research, and documentary research is always been it's always been arts. Now for arts discipline, this one is commonly used. You really document, you really make use of all newspaper details, and then you really want to find out this is the finding of this particular problem. Experimental research, and you have experimental research and non-experimental research. When you talk about experimental research, under this you have two categories. One is true experimental research and quasi experimental research. So these two things are important under this experimental research, where the results are really specific. Non-experimental research, where you have to correlate, you have to go for surveys, case studies. So I'm giving you the hint because due to time constraint, I'm giving you all the details where you can browse, you can find out which category you belong to when you conduct a research. Cross-sectional research, which is again inexpensive, because cross-sectional, it is you really take different respondents from different fields and you want to find out one particular problem. And longitudinal research is always a long-time research because you really focus on a particular set of respondents where you really work along with them. For example, you want to find out the blood pressure of people from 13 to 20 to 30. So it is like sometimes you have to experiment or you have to work on the same set of respondents. So it is longitudinal research, which will take time. But is again, the finding would be always been societal based. And you have this theoretical research. Theoretical research is understanding what and why. You have to ask questions, what, why. without commercial goals. You don't talk about anything which is commercial based. Theoretical research, when I'm going to talk about this applied research, then you understand what is this commercial goals. This applied research is something where you really find out a problem and you want to find out a solution, which is commercial based. For example, you have a company, for example, PepsiCo PepsiCo wants to find out how people are really, how children are really fond of chips. So when you're going to find out this, when the R&D is really working on, it is, you have this commercial objective where they really change the taste of the chips. So it is applied research which really happen in the laboratory. And when I talk about these types of research, I just wanted to tell you types of research paper. And this is, it depends upon, like I focused on this arts part. And again, even science researchers will always, consider this, which the last one would be for you. And you have this book review, you have critical review essay, and then you have this book chapter. The last one is original research paper. This book review is nothing but you really take a work, and again it will come under this documentary research where you would not, because you don't have your own contribution, but you're going to read it, you are going to give the review of the work which you have read. So when you're going to, you have the segment, you have to go for the citation first. Most probably when you're going to give a book review for a leading journal or leading publication or publishing house, you will be paid for that. You can be a freelance book reviewer. And when you're going to start with, you have to go for the citation, introduction, middle, conclusion. So you should not have any sort of personalized opinion when you are a book reviewer. And these are very important to look into. It's not that you should not backslash the writer. You have to talk about the plus, as well as you find certain things which have not been factually defined. You can talk about everything, not as an individual. It is like always a generalized way how it is being completely relevant, because you are going to give the review to the readers. And the last part, this conclusion is like those, you should end with a positive note, and you should not lie. You should not fabricate the thing. It is like what it is. It should be given exactly. And when you talk about this critical review essay, multiple book review, you have academic book reviews. You have two types, where short summary reviews as well as critical reviews. And when you are going to have short summary reviews, it is for a very small. When you look at Hindu, you have this review column where the short summary, it's like you don't have much components, but this review really help the reader to choose the book. And critical review, it is you have to bring in everything. You have to talk about the background of the author. You have to talk about what made this man to write this work. So it is like you should really connect the person with various other dots. And you have this book chapter. Most of you would have attempted to write book chapter to leading publishing houses. So you have it. A topic would be given, and they just give you the trust area, and you have to choose the topic. And based on the topic given, you have to write a book chapter. So when you're going to write the book chapter, it is very important to convey your message in a way where you really understand the main or the theme of the book. So based on the theme, you have to write your paper. That is the book chapter. This one is very important, and you have this original research paper. So when you're going to write an original research paper, what is this original research paper? Your idea, because most probably we have the idea which has been taken from somebody, but how you are going to improvise your idea. So when you're going to have the purpose, researcher describe the hypothesis or research question and purpose of the study. So you have the segment, introduction, and you go for literature review. Literature review is very important when you're going to write a research paper, and all of us know that. So it's like you have to understand the gap, you have to understand the research problem, you have to go for research design. So you have to understand before you write a paper, you have to look into all these details, and then you have to write. And before that, you have to go for the abstract with keywords. And most probably, most of the journals would always ask for 5 keywords. And you know the reason behind keywords, because when you give keywords, when anybody is going to search a particular paper, For example, your paper is about task-based teaching. So when you're going to task-based teaching is the keyword of your paper. When somebody is going to type task-based teaching papers, your paper would come there on the top. So reason behind that. So automatically citation matters very important. Citation is very important right now. So no, this one is material resources and open. Just I have given the link. I'll share the PPT also. When you're going to look at this one, and this is the link, and this is from this college I've taken. And when you look at the link, all these links are very useful. Yesterday, Dr. Jayanti was talking about Scopus, Science Direct, all the database, and these are the database which always which would be really helpful for you to, go ahead with your research. So you have all these links are really helpful, and you have other library links also have shared. So this will really help you to find out. Because when you start to write a proposal or when you want to write a research paper, you have to read, you have to understand which journal is going to publish your area of interest papers. And after that, once you choose the journal, you have to read the papers. You have to read the articles published by that particular journal. And very important thing, when you write a paper or you're going to submit your proposal, to understand the guidelines given by that agency or by the publication or publishing house. And now we come to the topic, which is writing a research proposal. So a very important thing where you have to focus more on is don't explain what you are doing, show them why. It is not, people are not worried what you want to, what is that you do, how is that you do, why is that you do, that's very important. So these 5 things are very important. You have to read, you have to see, you have to hear, you have to say, you have to do. At last, doing is very important. You have to find out whether your idea is really doable. And once you start your research proposal, you have to ask this WH questions, which you know already. So you have to understand what is your idea, and you have to understand what is your project, why it is needed. Because you come out with an idea, you say that, I really think this idea is very good, because every time it is brain child is always very important. So what is your idea and what is your, just write on everything on a piece of paper, understand why it is. You have to justify yourself saying why it is important, why, how it is unique, how it is different from other ideas. So who is going to be the target audience? Who is going to be, who is going to receive this? Who is going to accept it? Who is going to be beneficiaries? When and where will take place? And you have to understand, okay, you're going to conduct. So I'm going to take an idea where I think speaking skills among government schools should be developed. That's my idea. Okay. So my idea is fine, and how different it is. Many of them have done this before, like speaking skills. Speaking skill is really developed. So what are the steps I'm going to take? What is the tool I'm going to use? So when and where? So government school, okay. So which government school? Where it is? Whether I'm going to go to semi-urban or rural? Where? Which school I'm going to choose? Who are the experts? How do they add value? And it's like I have to check whether people who have done research already would really be connected. And when you have this, try to be, technology is really helpful. So try to connect yourself with other like-minded researchers. That will really help you to go to the next level. How much money do you need? So to do this, how much money do you really need? So you have to find out. All these questions are this WH questions, and you try to find out the answer. WH questions you do not know. Now we do not know. This is not under our control. And you have to find out what is this project and what is it. You want to know, you should have resources when you're going to approach a funding agency, and you have to know that how it is, you need an expert to talk about that particular. For example, you take British Councils or Fulbright scholarship, and you're going to apply for Fulbright scholarship. Now, there you have a team which really help the applicants. They really come up with their videos, and they would say anytime you can call them, anytime you can ask them certain doubts, and they really go for a meeting also where the previous awardees would really be part of the team, and they would give ideas how to conduct the research. So you just don't think this funding agency would not help you out. They really come forward to help you. So what question do you still have about the grant? And you just find out what are the questions you want to know. And who will answer those questions? Even that is also very important. And you check the website where you want to, you are going to apply for Fulbright scholarship. And you have to understand who are the previous awardees. Why do you check the previous awardees? You understand, okay, how many of them are from India? Okay. And what are the problems they really talk about? And it's like, try to find out what sort of, you have to find out a pattern. You have to find out a framework where you understand how your idea is going to fit in. Divided the plan into 5 is A, B, C, D, E. So what is the first thing you have to do? First, understand the funding agency, right? And once you understand the funding agency, understand you work in a college, or you are a researcher, or you are a student, and you can collaborate with your teacher. And as a researcher, you collaborate with your guide. If you work as a professional, you are a professor, you are an assistant professor, you understand you work in a college. So understand the vision of this particular institution and how this vision is going to match with the funding agency. For example, your institution has a vision of inclusiveness. So understand how this funding agency is going to talk about inclusiveness. Whose inclusiveness? How inclusive you are going to have it in the process. And just understand how this funding agency which you have chosen would really show interest towards your idea, towards your proposal. Understand that all these things are to be noted, and understand how these things are put forward, and understand the process time. So once you're going to apply, it will take always, they really go for, when you want to do for 2020, 2023, they would have started to accept the proposal in 2021. So understand the time. So once you miss it, you just keep in mind that you're going to have this call for proposal this particular month. So process time, understand how long they take. You apply, and it's like, for example, you have applied in June 2021. The process, check the process. When you look at the funding agency, they would give you the time, the break of the time would always be given. So you can follow that. How many people apply every year? Sometimes they give the data saying that these many people apply every year due to overwhelming response. We could not give funding to all the people who have applied. So you can find out the ratio, you can find out the percentage. Now, might be 200 would have applied, they would have got only 5% would have been given the grant. So understand what made them to choose those 5%. So you have to understand that. Check the annual report and future plan. You look at the annual report. Every time you check the internet, check the website, and check the annual report, because most of the funding agency will always come out with their annual report. This annual report is nothing but they really talk about what is that they have done. So what is the future plan? They mention in that annual report. Understand that. And look at the eligibility. So eligibility is something whether you are really eligible. Sometimes they really go for, they would not encourage students to be part of this funding. Sometimes they would not say, no, if you are a PhD scholar, you're not being part of it. Sometimes they say, you don't have this 12B there, your college is not coming under this 12B, then you're not eligible. Understand the eligibility before you apply for any funding. A narrative requirement, and look at this, that's very important, this body of this proposal, which is you should be very clear whatever you want to talk about. And you have to go for attachment. You have a lot of attachments. Sometimes you are a professor, so you want to submit, when you want to apply for a grant, the very important is you have to get this NOC from your college, and you have to get the support from your college. So understand what are the attachments you have to submit along with your proposal, and look at the deadline. So when is the last date of submission? When it is 30th March is the last date of submission. Don't wait till 38th. Try to do it before time. So take your time, like 25th start to do it from 25th. So if it's not 25th, you can do it on 26th. And the plan C is nothing but you try to seek answer. Now everything is ready. You are taking all the important details about the funding agency. Now it's you to evaluate. So you have come up with an idea, and check what is the current trend in that particular based on the idea, find out the current trends. For example, I talk about English language teaching. What is the current trend in English language teaching? It's not the chalk and board method. You have more than that. Okay, so technology you want to talk about. Okay, what is new in technology? I may talk about metaverse. So how is that I'm going to use metaverse in teaching English in the classroom? So I'll find out how it is going to be helpful in my research. Fine. And I have to find out the restriction. Can I use metaverse in my classroom to teach English? You have certain limitations. You have lot of limitations, lot of restrictions. I have to find out because my children, my students are first generation learners. I can ask them to go for high-ended mobile phone. So I can go ask them to have avatar when they want to be part of this metaverse. Okay, so I have certain restrictions. I have to jot on those restrictions, and I have to find out subject is award funding research. So I have to choose the areas which has been already given by the funding agency. Who are the people who have been funded? And what is the future plan of the funders? What is that they're going to do? I'm going to use technology English language teaching. How far it is going to helpful for funders? Am I going to give a new idea to them saying that you're going to use it, you're going to make it in a doable way? It's like it's going to be a prototype. Let us see then. Who are the decision makers? Who is going to decide that? You have reviewers. Reviewers play a very important role in this. What review process do they follow? How do they find out the process? You have to check that. Sometimes all these things will not be available no, in the websites, but you have to find out what is the review process. They look at the language, they look at the idea, they look at the visual effect, they go for all clear details. So understand those points. And the next one is you have to ask yourself, is it doable? Okay, I'm going to use metaverse in teaching English. Is it doable? Is it possible for me to do it? If yes, I'll go ahead. If not, I stop and then think about it. Now, again, does it have a beginning, middle, and end? How is that I'm going to? As you know, when you looked at this book review, always you have a beginning, introduction, middle, and end. This is how it should be. Now, how that I'm going to have the plan, how I'm going to do it, and what is the end result. Is it, the mission of the institution? Because I'm going to represent my institution. So I have to understand how this institution, for example, my college is a women's college. So they really talk about women empowerment. So how is that I'm going to talk about? No, women empowerment. When I'm going to do it, my institution has that in its mission. So it is always easy for me to do the work. Does your project have concrete, tangible, measurable? And it's very important when you're going to have a proposal, you have to understand the goals or the aims and objectives. It's very important. The reviewers will look into the aims and objectives of your proposal. So you have to be very clear when you write the objectives of your proposal, goals of your proposal. So, and you have to understand like, okay, I'm going to take it up, and this last date is 30th March. Can I finish it before that? No, and I have to check that because sometimes it's like you really pin your hope on other possibilities. So you have to check that too. That is plan D, and you have this plan E, which is the components of project proposal. I'm talking about the problem. This is you have to look at the scope of it. You have to look at the work plan, methodology, prototype. So what is the novelty you really have? And this time plan. And the time plan, it is again this, you have put a chart and a Gantt chart. I would really suggest you can go for Google Calendar also. You can use Google Calendar. You can find out how you are going to make it in a workable manner. And then the very important thing in research proposal is budget. You have to talk about manpower, you have to talk about equipment, you have to talk about travel, contingency, stationary items, everything. So when you talk about manpower, again, you have to find out when you have taken a research and the research proposal is sanctioned. So you have to go for your associates. So you want to choose a JRF, or you want to go for a student who has got MA. So you find out, and for that you have to go for advertisements in newspaper. So for that it will come under contingency. So equipment, again, you say that you want a laptop, you want a projector, and when you're going to give budget, understand that it's always a first year investment. If your project is for 3 years, you can't write equipment for all the years, only one time investment. So you have to be very careful. It's really sensible for us to understand is for the first year you have to give the amount for equipment, and for maintenance you can mention in second year. You can't ask laptop first year, second year also laptop. So it is not really feasible. It is not really good enough. And these are the plans which I would really ask you to follow so that your proposal would be really effective, and you will have a purpose also. You will understand what is that you really do. And when you're going to write the proposal, these are the things which are already I mentioned few of them. And your title is very important. Your title should really talk about your project. It should be really clear. Where when I say technology, using technology in teaching students, what is that I teach? I can't just like that. I can't teach. So I may take one important component, which is speaking or writing or listening. So I have to mention that in the title. So the reviewers sometimes they are from multidisciplinary background, so looking at the, but you have always one subject expert in the panel. So looking at that title, the person really understands, okay, the proposal is related to this. So it's pretty clear. And when you look at the abstract, I'll go to the next one. Yes, right. And when you look at the abstract, an abstract is very important. You have to write it very clearly. It should really represent a compelling idea. What is that you want to talk about? But you have to write in a very logical manner. Once I read the abstract, I should be very clear what the proposal is all about and try to write the abstract last, because the abstract can be written only at the end of your work, because it will really talk about the beginning of your work. So write the abstract last, and you should really use this active and engaging language. No, it's just you can't go for bombastic vocabulary, but you can make a point very clear. No, avoid jargon. No, you can't use you. It's like it's not the place to show that your vocabulary is really enriching. So make the point very clear in a very compelling manner. So it'll make the reviewer to understand what you are trying to explain. The need statement, again, the purpose, and you have this um, statement of purpose, SOP, you call it. So why it is very important, why you have taken it up, and what sort of outcome you're going to get out of that, who are the people who are going to benefit it, and what is the current statistical development of this particular idea. And you really bring your idea to the current scenario and make the reviewer understand, yes, you are talking about something very crucial, which is very emergency. You have to, for example, you're going to conduct a research which is after COVID, the plight of people in Chennai. So, no, when you want to do it, it is very important to do it. It is very urgent to do it. So make it very clear in your abstract, in your need statement, saying that it is very urgent to understand, because you have to find a solution for this problem. So your abstract, your need statement to really talk about your plan. That is very emergency, so that the funder really understand this is the need of the hour. So it should be always given importance. And as I was telling you, goals and objectives. Understand the difference between objectives and goals. And objectives has always been a part of your, which has always been measurable, which is always practical. And your objective is somewhat like storytelling. You know, they really say whatever you explain, make it a form of a story where you really narrate the thing. So people really listen to you, understand what it is. And when you're going to talk about the plans, you have the sustainable plans, project plans. It's like you have to go for this WH type questions, right? What, why, when, how, where. Now, when you're going to focus on these WH and WH questions, I'll tell you it's very easy for you to do your or write your research proposal. And you have this sustainability plans, right? This extramural funding and intramural funding you have. As Jay Shelvi ma'am was talking about this introduction and welcome address, she was talking about this government funding and this foundation funding, a non-government funding. You have two funding agencies. One is government would always take care of. Sometimes you have this foundation would always go for. For example, you have one foundation which is called Spencer Foundation, which is a globally acknowledged or popular funding agency. You look into the website and they really wanted to do something for the development of the society. So extramural funding, intramural funding. Extramural funding, it is not the extra outside your institution. Outside, for example, you are part of this University of Madras, or you're part of this funding agency, or you can say this India. And you just want to do something outside India. So you have funding from another country where, for example, you can talk about the Spencer Foundation. So you want to collaborate. You want to talk about the finding, which has got this global impact. So you can go for that extramural funding. And sustainability is very important right now. When you're going to do a research related or based on sustainable goals, you always stand a chance to to get positive reply from the funders. And this budget, it's like you really understand. You should be really specific. It should be really detailed. You cannot assume certain things. Everything should be very clearly stated when it comes to budget. You have to understand whether you have any indirect cost or direct cost. Everything should be really mentioned. At last, calculation is very, very important, right? You have to check your maths then. Something goes wrong and you can't say that, the calculation, this is, 1 rupee is left or $1 is left. So that should not be there. You have to check, recheck before you submit your budget. Then this writing style is what it is, writing style. Have a very clear idea when you're going to write your research proposal. Maybe an iota of your iota of expressing your idea, whatever it is, make it very clear. And use a very simple and clear language, avoid jargon, be very confident when you write. It's again, you too much of I will really, you can say I do it, I can, that be really, it talks about your confidence, but it would be too arrogant. So this arrogancy should always be not using, not boosting yourself that you could, so that can be really avoided. Always have coherence. What is that you want to say? That's you should have the introduction, middle, and the end. How you're going to start, how it is going to be traveled, and at last, what is the output you really get. So that should be really coherent. And it should be always readable. When I read your proposal, I should really understand what this researcher wants to do and everything very clearly. When you want to use certain things in bullets, do it. When you want to express in a visual form, you can go for graphs or chart. So it is your presentation. How is that? Sometimes you have to put yourself in the shoes of the reviewer, understand what you really expect from a researcher, from a proposal writer, and know the reviewers. And you really wonder, because most probably you not know who is going to review your proposal or your journal paper, whatever it is. But understand that very clearly. People who are been appointed as reviewers would spend more than half an hour, more than 1 hour to read your proposal. So when they read the proposal, you should hook with the interest. You should really make them to know what is that you have written. So you have to understand. So for example, you really go for you really apply uh, um, to UK. So it's like understand the language, understand you know what sort of what would be the, I mean, the funding. Look at the funding agency, and these are the areas. They might be, you find a review who is part of the sociology. So it should be really clear. It is not that the person does not know English. It is the way the person should really know. Oh no, I think this is not my cup of tea. This is something related to English literature. I think I don't understand that. So no, you should not make the person to have a frowny face when the person reads your research proposal. It is always of everybody's interest. Okay, and understand what the funding agency really wants the reviewer to do. Talk to people who served as reviewers. It might be difficult, but you be part of, you really know. You always connect yourself with all other researchers. Now, I was telling you about the Research Gate. That is a platform where you register yourself and you really connect with people, where you call the cloud research. Right, cloud research in sense, sometimes you take up a proposal of this, for example, Spencer Foundation, and you have submitted a proposal and you think you want to collaborate with other researchers in other part of the world, then you can part of this cloud researching, where you can bring in other researchers also under one term, under umbrella. So you can do that. So when you get the reviewer, for example, journal or the proposal, sometimes they send you the reviewer's comment also saying, these are the things you have to improvise and these are the things you have to change. For example, for example, you have submitted a paper to the journal, you get the reviewer's comment also. You just always observe those comments. They would be really constructive. And always, when you're going to, when you're going to write a research paper, read a lot of papers of the particular journal. The same way, when you're going to submit your proposal, read a lot of sample proposal of the particular funding agency or of other agencies. So it is always nice. So this one is just which I picked up from the website, which talk about the funding thing, which is happening right now. You have now the funding is always high. The research is always given much importance in India, because this GDP is also increased to 6%. So it is always nice that we, as a professional, as a teaching fraternity, it's what is a contribution we really do for the development of the country. And these are the websites, which websites as well as the books you can refer to. Does this really help you to improve your ideas or the qualities of writing a research or a proposal paper? I have divided this the funding agency into three: international levels, national level, and state level. So when you're going to look at this, and I was talking about the Spencer Foundation, and you have this, you can check these websites and understand where you fall, which category you want to focus on. For example, you take British Council. I was telling you about this British Council. You have the Spencer, sorry, you have fellowship for Indian citizen. And when you look at this, you can go for, is my screen visible, Gayatri? Is the screen shows fellowship? United States India Educational Foundation?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
It, it's visible, ma'am.
yes, thank you. So when you look at this Fulbright Nehru Scholarship, Fulbright Kalam Climate Change, you have doctoral research, you have postdoctoral, you have academic and professional excellence. You have all these categories, and just you decide which one you want to. If you are a postdoctoral researcher or you are a doctoral researcher, you can get into this. Otherwise, you are part of this academia and you want to improve your excellence, professional excellence, you can go for it. Look at the start to prepare, and it is very important. Look at the guidelines. Read the guidelines again and again. You have this affiliation and they really go for, and the eligibility requirement, you check the requirement and how to apply. Look at this, an application deadline, timeline and placement process. It all starts, it is going to, an application due date is 15th September 2020. And what is that they do? They're going to, field specific experts review application. They're going to review the application and the outcome you're going to get. And they're going to give the shortlisted candidates with late November 2022. So look at this, and you're going to have this program which is going to start in 2023, in September 2023. And look at the important things. You can apply for one Fulbright Nehru's. So all these details you have to read, you have to understand it very clearly before you approach any funding agency. So it is like, it's like you can have uh, it's like, Mama, I'm a student, so what shall I do? You get an opportunity to do it, because it's like you are, students are always full of a lot of ideas. So you can, what is your idea? How you want to make it in a doable way? You can get hold of your teacher who is always, interested in your, in your idea. So you can always go for that. So nowadays it's like the skill is ideation is very important in today's research. Yes. And yes. And you just you check the Spencer Foundation also. It is a very good. I think I've opened that. Yeah. Look at this. It's a very useful foundation. When you look at the grand awardees, it's very rare to find an Indian there. But I would tell you, it's like you explore what it is. If not this time, at least next time, because every year, no, two times they really call for proposal. So check where you really, come. So it's again a wonderful foundation where we can really try. They really focus more on education. So again, the sustainability goal is very important when you talk about Spencer Foundation. Okay. So, these are some of the, you have this one is United, UK, India Education Research Institute. Again, this is also very important. Where I have opened, look at this. This is the British Council. You can always watch this British Council website where they really come out with a lot of other proposals. They would say this as, if you are a school teacher, you can apply for this proposal. If you are a student, you can apply for this. You have to check the time. You have to check the details. You can go to archive and find out what are the plans already in existence, or what are the plans have been, going to come in the forthcoming year. So you can check that. So you can do that. Always understand what's really happening in the research area. So again, when you are, when you, this like World Academy of Sciences, you have all these international, these are international agencies. So if you think you want to be part of it, again, it's like the first time when you submit, you may not get it, but it is always a learning process. So give your best to get it done. Yes, and you have this national level where you have, university grant, UGC. All of us know that UGC, which is going to be HECI. And so when you have this UGC, you have minor project, you have major project, you have this Stride, you have Impress, you have Imprint. So you have all these. So just go to this website and understand what are the, you under this UGC, you have a concept which is called Stride, which is introduced a couple of years ago, and you have this Impress. Impress is the social science based research funding agency. So you have MHRD. Under this, you have MHRD again would come under this research scheme, and you have all these things I have given. So you can go to the website, and you have to understand like what is your research and why is that you apply. And if you are a Tamil department of Tamil, you are a professor from the department of, you know that you have interest in Tamil, just you can go for Central University, classical language, this university website, and understand that. And you have this Rajiv Gandhi Youth Development University, which always offer a lot of funding for beginners. So even that is also good. And you have, I've given all the departments here. So you understand that when you talk about central government, you have more than 50 ministries, 50 departments. So all the departments will always go for proposal because they have their problem. So most probably they really find out the problem of, of their particular department. They never wanted to traverse in the other department. Sometimes some of the departments would really want to find out something which is always a multidisciplinary approach. So understand like no, so it's not ISRO, DRDO, DST, DBT. They really talk about something which is based on their area, the science and technology. They would not find anything else from this particular department. So whereas it's like you have this Ministry of Communication and Information Technology, it is always no multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary. It's nice to when you're going to have focus, an idea with the approach of transdisciplinary. So when you're going to have this multidisciplinary, you have to rope in two or three. It's always a collaborative work. You can go ahead with that. Again, as a researcher, as a professor, as a teacher, it's like understand you have various others. Platforms where you have to be part of. For example, it's like all of you would have been part of it. You have a concept called Vidwan, which has been Vidwan database where you have to. Why is that you want to be part of this Vidwan database? Sometimes at Google Scholar, yesterday Dr. Jayanti was talking about this Google Scholar. When you register yourself or when you're going to part of this Google Scholar, sometimes you really find you are, for example, you type there, you just English language teaching or task-based language teaching. When I'm going to type this task-based language teaching, I find lot of researchers who are doing research on the particular topic. So I can collaborate with them because you find all the details. You can have this mail ID so you can reach them. Otherwise, if you don't find it, you can understand the affiliation of that particular researcher and you can talk to the person. You can go for a collaborative work. So most probably it is like you should have this out of the box concept. It is not that you should not think that you are right. Your idea is the best idea. Don't have that perspective. You always collaborate, you talk with others, you share your ideas. So it is sometimes, sometimes you don't find a person, of your interest or would really talk about your interest. So you can extend, you can have, collaboration. You can talk to the person on the other side virtually. That you can do always. And I'm talking about the state level here. State level you have. So if you are from another state, I'll tell you all the states have nearly 40 departments, I guess, 40 ministries, and all the departments always come out with a proposal where they really give fund to find out a problem for their particular department. They do that. They do, you have that. For example, you have women development. You can go to the ministry, this women and children development ministry or the department, and understand what sort of funding they really do and how your proposal is going to fit in the particular area. So you don't think that I mean you're from literature, you're from you're from sociology, you're from, no, it's not like that. All of us have equal opportunity to prove that you are also a very good researcher. And when you talk about the private one, you have this Malcolm Elizabeth Trust. You have a lot of private agencies also in Tamil Nadu state level you find. But before you apply, before you share your idea, understand how they really work. You find out the background and then you apply. Because it's like when you're going to write, when you're going to publish your paper, it is your hard work, it is your idea. So before you submit your paper, do a bit research about the journal to which you're going to submit your paper. It's very, very important. And nowadays, it is always very important that your paper should be indexed in Scopus, Web of Science, UGC Care List. Now, people are not worried about UGC Care List also. But UGC Care List, again, it is also good. And Scopus, Web of Science. When you're part of this Web of Science, register yourself to this Publon, where you can, Publon is very good. Try to register in this platform also, where you find a lot of researchers. And adding to that, what is a special thing about Publon is Publon ID is really helpful to find out how many papers you have reviewed. Sometimes, you play a role of a reviewer. When you play a role of a reviewer, sometimes your a scope or Web of Science indexed journal approaches you to review a particular paper. They really look at the interest. And ARC ID, even Dr. Jayanti was talking about this ARC ID yesterday. So create this ARC ID. When you have this ARC ID, it is always your interest, area of interest, everything is being totally exhibited there. So the person really approach you. They look at nowadays, they really wanted to have this ARC ID when you submit your journal, submit your paper to a journal. So understand how important it is. So it's like Publon, again, very important thing is, it's like when you are a reviewer to a Web of Science indexed journal, I'll tell you, it's like when you have this Publon account, this will always be, they're indexed in your Publon ID on the web page of your Publon ID. So it is very clearly stated that this person has done this Web of Science journal. So she's a reviewer and you have this rating. So again, academically, it is also very important. It has always been relished. And yes, I wanted to talk about, it's like always focus on this interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary approach. Don't have a single idea of saying this is what I don't want to explore. Try to explore, try to connect with people, try to understand how you are going to collaborate with others. As I was telling you, it's like cloud researching is very important right now, and be part of this ResearchGate where you can find a lot of collaborators. ResearchGate is again a very good platform where you can collaborate with other researchers of your interest. So be very clear with what you want. You can find a researcher on the other side of the world. When it comes to money, again, you have to be, because you have to go for affiliation. You have to check again and again when you want to collaborate with a person who is not known to you. You have to check the affiliation of this researchers. I know of this researcher, and you have to understand whether this person is from this particular university. So you have to do a lot of research work to understand that. So you could not just like that, you can't assume that the person is there on ResearchGate, so it'd be really authentic. You understand that authenticity is very important before you go for collaboration. So yes, and also I mark these things in red because it's like they do their work internally. They really wanted to. They really wanted to. They have a problem. They have a no hypothesis, and they really say we have this problem. We want a solution for this. So I was telling you is ideation. You really go for an idea. You say it's like your idea. How is that you're going to have this prototype to this particular idea? That is also very, very important. Just like that, you can't find out a solution, right? You just no, verbally you can't give solution. You have to give a proof saying this is going to be the solution. That's going to be your research. So I just now it might be over ambitious because I wanted to share everything at one go. So it's like I might be a little bit fast, but I wanted to share the details which I have learned in the process or the passage of my time. Yes. So now it's like if you have anything to be clarified, I'm I'm ready.
I had few questions if I can ask it right now.
Yes, Mr. Abhijit. Yes.
Yeah, ma'am. First of all, let me tell you that there are not many webinars like this. Your talk was really nice and very informative.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Abhijit.
I
Yes.
have few questions actually. So
Yes.
let me put it one by one.
Yes.
Now I'm a PhD from University of Queensland, and then it suddenly clicked in my mind that when I was doing farming, there were certain questions that needed solutions. So I felt like I should do some postdoctoral research regarding this.
Wonderful.
Now, when I started the hunt for getting some scholar ideas of scholarship, I came to know that there are many proposals that are rejected. So
Yes.
there was a question: which kind of research projects actually have a very high probability to be granted? Now, that is a national cause or sustainability, or what is the gist that you create a specific project and then your research would be granted?
That's a good question, Mr. Abhijit. It's like I would say, as far as my observation goes, I would say sustainable goals. When you talk about sustainability, I really focus more on education. As we were talking
Okay.
about farming, I would say it is always right, and with farming is always a very important topic. And I would say it's like how is that you're going to find it a solution for that? Because when you take Chennai, when you take Tamil Nadu, it's like farmers are always, it's like when you look at the condition of farmers, not only in India, it's not only in Tamil Nadu, across India. So how is it you're going to help them? If you're going to find out a solution for the Chennai farmers, it's not the Tamil Nadu farmers. It's not for only for Tamil Nadu. It's for India. So it is like I would say you find out a problem which is always which is globally accepted. Education again. As I'm an English teacher, I would say I would talk my language. So when I'm going to take a research, I really focus on the speaking skill of government schools. So when I'm going to talk about speaking skills, it is not only of Tamil Nadu, it is not only of India, it is always the third world countries. So I can apply the same thing in South Africa, in a African countries classroom also. So the background is something where I'm going to make it very clear. This research is not meant only for Tamil Nadu children. It is for the world. It is for the third world countries. So I would really suggest it's like because you do your research, I think you have more experience because you really talk about a wonderful topic. So my suggestion is it's like the solution which you are going to derive would not be for one component. It should be always for for many. So if we work on that, point, I would say it'd be really classic. Because it's like when you talk about COVID, aftermath of COVID, and you're going to find it a solution. It is not going to be only for Chennai. It's not only for Tamil Nadu. I would say it is for the world. So
Yeah.
Abhijit, all the very best for you. I hope I've answered your question, but I
Yeah, that was
really appreciate because it's like you have taken a very important component, which is farming. All the very best for your postdoctoral too.
yeah. There are three more to shoot on you. The
Yes,
second
yes.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what research I did during my PhD was totally different, and now what I came through from a social perspective is totally different. So my
Okay.
PhD is different, and the postdoctoral research topic which I want to pursue is very different. So
Okay.
when you are writing a certain project, how impactful is the previous publications? Is it that whatever you are going to perform in your postdoctoral research, you need to have any previous high impact publications? So supposing that, giving my scenario, I have two very high impact factor publications. One is in an elsewhere publication of impact factor 3.9, and the second one is a Wiley publication of 1.2. Does that
Oh,
make any effect on, or does that add to the credibility for grant of the project? Or it's
of
very
course, you
irrelevant?
say, I mean, again, right? When you submit your proposal, it's like they look into your work, your research skill. So they really look into, because once when you find your paper which is got a high impact, they really go for your understanding of your work. So I would really suggest that will always reflect on your postdoctoral thing or on your research proposal, because already you've done, that's your experience. Your experience matter. And again, when you have an experience where you're not been following on the past, in sense, it's like you are not going to have an idea which is already in existence, but you have an idea which has always been a new one, which has got the social impact. I would say you always know, you just, there is a weightage for your publication.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay. My
Abhijit.
third question was,
Yes,
uh,
yes, please.
I am an inexperienced writer in case of postdoctoral research, because this is the first postdoctoral research that I'm going to be writing. And then I don't have any ideal proposal before me as a sample. So I don't know if I missed or something, but I wish to know the ideal standard for any project, how big it should be, what all parameters it should cover.
I was talking about that, Mr. Abhijit. It's fine. I'll tell you, right. You can, if, for example, I'll really suggest you, for example, there is one foundation which talked about Spencer Foundation. I really fall that Spencer Foundation, fall for that, because when you read that, you'll get all the details about the sustainable goals. So, for
Okay.
example, I'll tell you the Sustainable Spencer Foundation. You just go to the Spencer Foundation. When you're going to submit your proposal, you have a lot of other ideas. It's like they really give you the proposal submitted by the previous awardees. So you just
Okay.
look at the way they have presented. It's like abstract is very important. Abstract, and then that abstract can be written only at the end of your work. So when you're going to talk about, again, I was telling you, it's like you have this introduction, you have this middle, you have this end. So
Okay.
you should have the coherence of explaining your ideas. It should be very clear. The language should be very simple, because you don't know who the reviewer is. So see to it, your ideas are very clearly expressed. And your idea should always be a doable one. It is not
Yeah.
like you assume certain things and do it. So the statement of purpose, or the need statement, should be very clearly stated, and you can bring in the previous review or the previous literature to some extent, where you are going to prove that it is always new. You have this prototype there, you have this novelty there in your work. So that will really help you to do it. And you have a lot of, and I share the slide, the PPT, with all the participants. So I just have given you the links where you can go for sample proposal. You can read those sample proposal and you can make use of this. When you read a sample proposal, you understand what sort of approach you do as a reviewer, and find out, now you take clarity from the proposal and saying that yes, this is clear or this is not clear. Why is that it's not clear? How is that you want to improve the particular component? You can work like that, Mr. Abhijit.
Yeah. Okay. So my fourth question was, I guess you answered that, because I was going to ask um, the list of extramural scholarship, if any possible. I guess that you shared that in your PowerPoint presentation.
Yes, I've given.
Yeah. Okay. Those were my questions.
Okay.
You satisfactorily answered all of those. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abhijit. All the very best.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Yes, dear participants, like if you have any questions, it's like you can ask me, so that like I'll try to clarify your doubts. Uh, it is.
Okay, shall we move on, dear participants? If you have any questions regarding project funds, you can get it cleared from our resource person. Okay, yes.
So happy researching. Yes, sorry, happy researching. It's like research, because we are all good researchers in our life, throughout our life. It's a lifelong process. So I hope this presentation will be of some help to understand how you have to submit your research proposal. So it's ultimately I've learned a lot. So thank you so much for the opportunity. If you have any questions, like I'll share my mail ID also. So even the PPT will be shared. I just, you always be, always check if you choose a agency, choose couple of agencies, but don't send the same proposal to all the agencies. You have to understand that, and always have uh, have an eye, like when you're going to get the next call, and then accordingly you can, so prepare, it's like you can start preparing for your proposal for years. It's like 1 year you can take, and then you can understand, you have different ideas, and accordingly you can choose the agency, and you can submit your proposal. All the very best participants, all the very best professors, researchers, yeah, all the very best. God bless. Thank you.
Now I'm audible.
Now you are audible, Jansi.
So good afternoon, everyone. It's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks and acknowledge the contribution of those who work really hard to make this event possible. First of all, I would like to thank our management and Dr. M. Sundarajan, Pro Vice Chancellor Academics, and Dr. R. Hari Prakash, Additional Registrar, to organize this two-day FDP on academic publications and project funding opportunities. I would like to express our deep gratitude to Dean SNH Dr. P. Kamaraj for always supporting and guiding us. Also, I would like to express our sincere thanks to our HOD SNH Dr. G. Madhubala for her continuous support. On behalf of the entire Department of English, I would like to thank our eminent speaker, Dr. Beena Anil, Professor, Department of English, and IQAC Director, SDNB Vaishnav College for Women, Chennai, who spared time from her busy schedule to grace the occasion. Today, we had an opportunity to hear your thoughts and your valuable presentation on research, publication, and funding opportunities. And this will surely be useful and encouraging for us in future endeavors. You truly made this day enlightening for us. You gave deep insight into the topic and revealed some interesting facts on funding opportunities. Your deep and intellectual way of imparting knowledge has added to the success of this event. Thanks a lot, ma'am. A special thanks to the event conveners, Dr. B. Emmanuel, Professor, Department of English, and Dr. V. Jayashanti, Associate Professor, Department of English, for their incredible support and guidance in making this program a successful one. Also, my sincere thanks to the event coordinators, Ms. K. Surodashmini, Dr. M. Gayatri, and myself for excellent coordination on this special event. Also, I would like to thank Dr. Stephen and Mr. Naresh for the technical support on this special day. A big shout out and thanks to all the participants from various institutions and across country who made the event a memorable one. Finally, I would like to thank all of you present here for making time to be with us today and helping us make this event a grand success. Once again, thank you all.
Thank you, dear participants. Hope you had a wonderful session on both day 1 and day 2. I really thank our today's chief guest, Dr. Beena Anil, for giving a wonderful explanation on project funds, and especially she gave examples also. Please make use of it. Hope You will also become a principal investigator or co-investigator in the forthcoming days. We posted the link, that is feedback form link, in the chat box, and it is there also in the WhatsApp group. Please fill it and submit it at the earliest. Any other queries? Dear participants, do you have any other queries? Okay, thank you. You can leave.
Ma'am, just a moment, please. Hello.
What, sir?
You said you are.
Sir, first, we welcome you, sir. You are one among the editorial board members of International Journal of Microbial Science. I already told about you to our department members. What, sir?
You said that you are going to share the PowerPoint presentation. If you would please let me know where the link would be.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Surely we will share the PowerPoint. And both the days, that is the day 1 and day 2, the whole session is also recorded. Yesterday's session already recording over, and we are going to upload it in our Bharat University YouTube channel, and we will share the link in our WhatsApp group 1 and 2. Till that, please stay connected. Surely it will be more useful to each and everyone, that is especially who are working in college and universities.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.